All right, everyone, give me 1 second while I fix on some sound thing. All right, guys, please let me know if you can hear me, and then I'll start. Sorry about that. There's some sound issues. Last minute, completely my fault. I didn't check it, and some setting disappeared, and therefore you can hear me, but no, you cannot hear Tim. And when you will be able to hear Tim, you will not be able to hear me, but we'll just have to work with it for now. But let's dive into things. First, let me actually check if you guys can hear Tim when I unmute him. So give me 1 second, and Tim, don't talk yet. But
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Good to hear, good to see you. I hope you hear me.
all right, so that was Tim. Let me know if you can hear Tim and me, and then if that's the case, we can dive into it. But it seems on my end that everything is okay. So just let me know if you couldn't hear Tim, and then we'll address that. But it looks like it was fine. So diving into things, right now we have a lot of strong bear signals, and that is me putting P1 filter mode on conservative. So that's a pretty strong sign, usually for continued downside on the day. So it looks like we'll be looking for short signals. We're gonna do this the same way we usually do it. All right, we can hear both. Thomas, Rafa, what's up? Thank you for confirming. But usually it's a good sign for further downward move. There is one thing I do wanna make from the get-go before. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this the same way as normal. I'm just gonna do a little overview, and then I'm gonna hand it to Tim, and Tim is gonna, or at least I'm gonna look for some setups in the dashboard, and Tim is gonna chart them. So what we have right now is what I've posted a couple of times, is that we're stuck in this range again, right? So this range is the range of absolute boringness and nothing happening. Right now we're at the bottom of this small range, and you can see it better if you do this and have that volume profile. You see that nice normal distribution almost, which usually indicates a range. So this is typically, at least not for Bitcoin, the place I would look to short. With that said, I do have to say that right now I find things looking a little bit more bearish in the immediate term than they did here up top. But the main thing I would like to do, or what I prefer to do, is Bitcoin is at the bottom of this range, and it's usually safer to assume fake outs rather than breakouts. So me saying that it looks a little bit more bearish is, something. And generally speaking, you don't want to assume too much. It's better to assume the opposite. But what we want to do is then look for assets that have a different price action profile. With that, I mean assets that show a little bit more trending price action. Doesn't have to be trending down or up, just trending in general. Right now, Bitcoin is very, very, very compressed, and we want to have an asset that looks a little bit better. So Bitcoin is showing exhausted bear. So, you know, at the bottom of the range, exhausted bear. We can actually look at how much this actually is. And by the way, today we'll be focusing more on the TA side of things. And tomorrow, when I do my stream alone, I'll be going deeper into the new features and all that. But if I look at this one right here, P2 automatic, weekday, 52%. So not that exhausted. You know, there's definitely still some room for further downside potentially. Not too bad. Not too bad. And we can definitely also take a look at what's showing here. So on the multi-time frame page, we saw the main statistics. Right now, what I'm interested in seeing is what or the mapping of the statistics in bull bear signals. What I want to see first is whether or not the statistics are proving to be very beneficial as well. So what I wanted to see here is how many, okay, yeah, so this is exactly what I wanted to see. Look at this. So it is very unlikely that Bitcoin will take out its high. This is on conservative filtering. If I would do non-conservative filtering, which I think there is a case to be made to use that here. Again, I will discuss this more later on. It's the same thing right now. Oh, that makes sense because the current P2 is at hour 1. All right, then it's the same thing. But the current P2 hour 1, it has been 477 days since that has been a P2. So if I address the Minoma analytics indicator right there, yeah, I personally don't really like the high too much, but I mean, if the high holds, I'm going to leave the more detailed explanation or analysis on Tim. But if the high holds, then it's very, very, very unlikely that the low will hold, and not only because of the distance statistics, but also because of this, right? It's been 477 days since hour 1 put in the P2. So this would indicate that, you know, we are either going to take out the P1 and the P2, and this one would indicate that the P2 is more likely to be taken out. But once again, we are at the bottom of this very compressed range, and even though I'm leaning more bearish, this is usually not a bet I would take. But there are plenty of other assets with nice statistics for further downside, and those are the ones I want to be paying attention to. So I'm going to pick up some assets, and then I'm going to hand it over to Tim. So let's go to the high probability summary over here, where we select this one wanted to be more than 55%, and this one less than 25%. And as we can see here, there are a boatload of setups. I mean, it's really too many to mention. We can be really picky right here. I'm going to go for non-conservative filtering, believe it or not. And I'm going to explain more about this later on, because I do think that I'm writing a massive tutorial on this right now. But I do think there's a case to be made to not use it. But honestly, right now, there's so many good setups that maybe I'll just stick to this. But we can be picky now because there's so many setups that I will look for these that have more than 65%. I mean, that's a lot of setups. The only thing that worries me here, and I'm going to leave that to Tim once again, is this range right there. We are at the bottom of this range. So, you know, if Bitcoin is going to reverse, then obviously it's probably going to pull up the rest. But let's look at some setups right here. I think, I mean, which one do you look at? You can already see here, the first thing I see is that there's some retracement really high up. And normally this would be nice for a short. But in this case, since Bitcoin is at the range low, I would be more inclined to say, you know, that this is could lead to a P1, P2 flip, obviously. So I would rather look at the assets that have a little bit less of a retracement so far, showing less strength, right? Which in this case is XLM, Wildcoin. Maybe Wildcoin is a nice one because we have not really, or let me just select these two. XLM, Wildcoin. And we can see, especially Wildcoin, 78 days since that P2 hour was at hour 1. It's kind of the same setup. So what I'm actually going to do is, Tim, I'm going to give it to you, and I want you to give your thoughts on Bitcoin first, because it is leading and it is ranging, and we're at the bottom of this range. I'm wondering what your thoughts on it are, and once you've done that, I would suggest going into Wildcoin, and we'll just take it from there. See if there's some other assets. Maybe Wildcoin looks the same. In that case, I personally, if any asset is at the bottom of the range, I would personally not be interested in taking a short. So once again, we're looking for assets that show different behavior, and Wildcoin could be a good one. And if not, we're just going to look on. But first, it's probably good to take a look at Bitcoin and then go from there. So Tim, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to switch the audio right now. So this is the part where you guys won't hear me anymore. Tim will still hear me, but you guys will not. Probably not. So Tim, I'm going to hand
Okay.
it over.
Okay, thank you very much, Sergio. Um, Going into Bitcoin price action and following the analysis of Sergio, I agree. We are now nearing the bottom of this range. We swept this liquidity point right here. And yeah, I believe today will be a big day if the daily close will be above this wick here, and we hopefully get for the bull signs at least a close above that wick low. But I believe and I think that there is still more room to go to the downside. And if I zoom a little bit in more on the lower time frame, what I've done is that we have that range right here. I marked it out with orange dots right here, and this was the manipulation. I thought also that I've shared that last week. This was the manipulation phase, the power of 3 in distribution, and we tapped into that demand zone. But the case is normal wise, I would long that, but there is no bullish structure on a lower time frame confirming me to long already. So because of the significant drop to the downside this night, as you can see on the 15-minute, what happened? One moment. This needs to be on the 5. So what you can see right here, we have the P1 sitting right. That's the highest point after the daily open, and check. Yes, that's the P1. And we have that significant drop to the downside. From there is no structure. So there is no bullish confirmation for continuation to the upside. So what I'm aiming and what I'm looking for is a little bit on Bitcoin to look for a long setup once we get back in that range low right here, and watch for the price action, because here we have also a liquidation point. If you zoom a little bit out on the higher time frame, let me reset the chart view for you. We have here also, here will be resting buy stops, sell stops, sorry, for the people who longed this complete leg or this range. People or people even who bought this bottom right here, they have moved the stop losses into by higher swing points, and this is the one. This is below a demand zone, and we just tapped in the above side of the demand zone. So what I like to see is a swipe of that low, and then looking after confirmation for a potential long setup. I will not long this right here. Or what else is a probability is because London opens slightly after this low. Asia took a consolidation, and London is also in a consolidation phase. So what is also could happen is that we push a little bit higher right here, and then perhaps another one higher, and then we break structure to the downside, because I believe this one is quite strong. And then I'm looking to enter a short position. So Bitcoin is still leading into the market price because of the dominance. I saw this morning multiple coins like Solana, Aave, some other coins who are flipping P1 into P2 into P1 already, but Bitcoin didn't. So what I'm hoping to see today for a potential short is that price is manipulating again here into this imbalance right here, and then take after confirmation a short, or at a range low once again, to look for a confirmation to go long. So this is my currently what I'm seeing on Bitcoin. And as you can see also here, this is just a sideways range on the 5 minutes. And when it's a valid range, when you have a pullback and you topped out, and then you get a retracement, and the retracement is touching the equilibrium, and that is what the price has done this morning. So we have now a valid 5-minute range. This is only a 5-minute range because on the 15 you don't have a clear retracement. This is not a clear retracement, but on the 5-minute we do have. So this is the current dealing range on the 5-minute. So let's see how that plays out. So either we go above the range, then you can look for confirmation, after confirmation for a short, or we go below that range again, and then we can look for a long setup. So right now, this is no man's land here, so I don't touch it, but perhaps indeed the wildcard and XLM are looking great. I didn't chart it, so let's do that. If there are not any questions, if so, let me know, please, and I can answer that.
No
I
questions
cannot.
yet.
Okay, great. Go. If there is, then let me know. Let's dive into VLD. Oh, I don't have it. Right. Let's see. Okay. VLD. Let's see. What do we have? Let's start off naked. Oof. Okay. Quite low.
Yeah, you don't need any very advanced TA to conclude that the chart looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it does. It does. Okay, we have here the monthly open. Monthly open. Previous month low is swiped already. This is kind of order block, I think, on the weekly, perhaps. Of course, it has potential to go higher, but for now, I'm not seeing any chances. And also, if you look to the weekly, this is a quite bearish engulfing candle, and we opened bullish this week, and then rejected from the monthly open again. Then we're going down. What do we have? More liquidity to get taken. Yeah, that will be probably here. And let's check the daily. What is daily telling me? Okay, price is tapping this zone. Okay, we have some space to go lower. We have here daily fair value gap resting below that lows. But it's also a little bit of a demand zone from the past right here. Right, this is a demand. But we have left some imbalances right here. So that's a draw of liquidity. So this could work as a magnet. So that's resting at 1.23. Add an alert. Okay, let's dive into a lower time frame. What do I see? Price swept this low right there. This is our dealing range on the 4-hourly. Here do we have 1, 2, 3 taps. So this is the dealing range. We could come lower to take out this low, but perhaps if Bitcoin retraces more, this will be the zone for a potential reversal. We have resting right here for hourly fair value gap. Let me check what statistics saying on the pivot points. Hourly 0, we have it here, and hourly 1, that is a drop. It's the same as Bitcoin, right? So it's the same on Bitcoin. Let me check on the lower time frame, but do we have more?
Yeah, for me, it looks very similar to Bitcoin. And
Yeah, it's almost similar. But we see here a clearer range of the 50-minute lag. We have multiple candles going higher. We top out here and we touching the equilibrium right there. So this is a range on the 15. So low, high, and we touch the equilibrium. Now it's waiting for this perhaps, or this perhaps, right now into the middle of that range. So that is pretty hard. Let me check on the 5. What do we see on the 5? We have still a interesting zone right there, just below the P1, pivot 1. It's also the daily open. So what I prefer to see is the same on Bitcoin, is a tap higher or a tap lower. I believe if you're entering now, the risk to reward isn't that great, right? So so based on that, it is not a great risk to reward. So we have to wait on this, in my opinion. I'm leaning bearish, more bearish than bullish, right? So also on the higher time frame, we look on the higher time frame and that dealing range of the 4-hourly daily range. Here we manipulate once, and we need to manipulate once again. And here is also resting a fair value gap. So I believe perhaps we could wick into that, into the 122, and then reverse from there. That could also lead into Bitcoin printing perhaps a higher low. But if it will be today, I don't know, because it can also be a sideways range today. It looks like it, but I don't know. New York will open in an hour. So this is currently what I'm seeing on BLD, Wildcoin, and it's the same a little bit in Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin is looking better than BLD at this moment. And the other one is XLM.
I just checked, and I think, or well, maybe XLM is a good one. Yeah, because for me, just to recap, like for me, Wildcoin and Bitcoin, they're kind of similar. I just, I mean, I explained this in the post about continuation trades. I would be very cautious taking continuation trades, like in this case, bearish continuation trades at the range low. It's if you're ranging, obviously it's gonna work less. And for me, Wildcoin looks very similar to Bitcoin, which are both seemingly on the lower time frame, especially on the 4 hours, stuck in a range. So it's just my 2 cents on it. I'd be very careful. I am also leaning more bearish than bullish, but yeah, it's usually not a good idea to short at range lows.
No, I agree on that, but it depends also what time frame you trade, right? So we are at the range lows on the higher time frame. For let's say on the 4 hour, we are at the range lows. But it doesn't mean that you cannot trade a leg lower on the 5 or 50-minute.
Exactly, but if you look at daily time frame, that range is too small.
Yeah, true.
So in talking about the view of like the daily statistics, that is right. So it's not necessarily a daily range, but the way we interpret it, if you look at daily statistics, then you want to have some. The daily candles need to have room to go down, go up, and right now they don't have much.
No, true. I fully agree. If I look over to this coin. I don't like all that wicks that I'm seeing. If you look on the daily, all these wicks right here, these are pretty ugly. But okay,
And that has that wicks a lot.
it's not normal.
That's crazy,
Yeah, if you see this kind of chart, I throw it immediately away.
right?
But we can check all of course.
Otherwise, check out Maker. Maker looks like it's different in terms of PA
Okay,
perspective,
okay. Let's dive into that one.
right? That looks like it's trending a little bit more aggressively.
I can see that.
And it also has better stats. Maybe good to note that these have, let me see, I mean, maybe you can, yeah, maybe you can pull it up so that people
Yeah,
see the stats.
let me check. Current retracement 0.5. There's more distance 60%. Yeah, that is one is also looking good, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. The days with more distance could be higher, but still, if the PA looks good, then 60% is a moderately good probability, and P2 at hour one is not the highest, most occurring one.
no, indeed. Okay, let me check on the chart. It looks like this one is going to be going lower. We don't have much fair value gaps left right here, but also not on the upside here. We tapped already there. We don't have much about that on the weekly at least. Let me check on the daily. We have that ugly wick here. That is refilled this one. This of course low probability that we will go so far. But let's check for today. It's the daily open. Excuse me. And here we have P1. So let's dive into that. Here we have also fair value gap that is already mitigated by this one. So it's looking quite strong, this pivot point. We have here a 1 hourly fair value gap. It's also on a breaker block. So what you can see right here, perhaps on the 2 hour is better to see. Yeah, it's better to see right here. This is a breaker. Into the daily open and the pivot point. What I want to see is a slightly higher prices to enter a short, to take out the low. Do I see any bullish signs yet? No, I don't see it because this is still also what you can see right here on the 5. The structure on the 5 is very simple. This is the structure on the 5, right? And right now we are grinding slowly to the upside. So perhaps another push into the breaker that will give us a quite nice range. So this can be extend to the last stop. So what I want to see is a slightly push to the upside and then reject from there and then push lower. This will be your first TP and then this low. So P1 will be your last TP. So what I'm doing is putting an alert right there and wait for if price is going to that direction or we are leaving this range to the downside. But I should be careful with longing. We are heavily on the downtrend also, and each pullback is getting sold off. As you can see also on the 1 hourly, this is the low. The low before is this one, external low. This is a high. Get an internal. This is the internal leg, which I have shown you already on the 5. This is the other one. As you can see, equals. So we are heavily into a downtrend, right? This is heavily in a downtrend, and zoom it a little bit out. What do we see on the left? Yeah, we have that ugly wick right there. That is perhaps a draw of liquidity. Take out this one. Draw liquidity. Let me put it correctly. Okay. Okay, let's dive into the price from now. Yeah, that is what I prefer to see, right? Otherwise, still, if you take a short right here, you can see right here. Oh, sorry, wrong button. If you would like to take a short right here, then you need to cover this one, or perhaps here, but you want to cover a swing position, a swing high, a swing low, and the risk to reward is 1-to-1. What I prefer is this, something like this. So you have a better risk to reward. So this is what I'm currently seeing on the maker.
Yeah, and I would like to make because and in the end, like I completely agree with you that better risk reward is better. But I also want to make the point for anyone watching that it also really depends on your trading style and system. I know, for example, that some people are fine with a 1-to-1 risk to reward. If your win rate is high enough, it could work. And I also know that the 0.5, I mean, at some point I want to have statistics on this, but the 0.5, actually, you see very often that it reverses from the 0.5 within a trending environment. So if you, I'm not saying you should, but if you could find a strategy where the 1-1 RR from 0.5 retracement works more often for you than not, and if the statistics are good enough, that should be very possible. Then it's not a, for me it would not be a no-go. I have taken trades from the 0.5 with a 1-to-1 RR.
Yeah, I fully agree, especially if the market is in a trending market. So also on the lower time frame trends, we are on the low time frame, we are trending up or down. And right now you can see right now on the 15 also, this is, of course, here we have a 0.5 of this dealing range right here, but this is sideways, right? So we are looking to short. So I want to short, of course, in premium, right? And not in discount. So yeah, we are slightly above the 0.5. But that is my strategy, indeed, my system. Everybody has their own. And looking purely to statistics, this is saying, okay, we will go further to the downside. And I do like that. And I want to take a short, but building up on my rules and system. So I want the price to see a little bit higher. The same counts for Bitcoin, right? A slightly higher price would gives me the short trigger after confirmation. And perhaps that's what also accounts for ETH, because ETH is also giving us the same price action as Bitcoin. This one, ETH is probably better looking also, because the price movement is better than Bitcoin and other coins at the moment. So I don't know how the statistic looks like for ETH.
More or less the same, I think. But I agree with you, by the way, that in this case I would wait for higher. I just wanted to make the point that it's not absolutely necessary, and it really depends on the system, like you said.
Yeah.
But in this case, I would also agree, especially when the lower time frame there is clearly range bound. Waiting for the premium of the range is the way to go.
ETH. Yeah, exactly.
I think, yeah, the top one, you probably have the filters applied, which is why it doesn't show up in the top table.
No, correct. No, correctly. But here you can see. I like this new feature update, right?
Yeah, it's nice, right? I like it as
Yeah.
well.
So what I did last time, just for scalping, right? I've put in a filter. I selected this one, and then I'm looking. Okay, how high is which one has the highest day of the longest days ago?
Yeah,
You can see right now we have AR. Current P1 is sitting at hourly 1, current P2 is sitting at hourly 3. We flip P1 as P2 has been 43 days ago, and this one is current P2 holding as daily P2. It's been 500 days ago. So I can check AR a
yeah, go
little
for
bit.
it. Oh, that looks compressed. Oh, it's a 5 minute. Never mind.
Yeah, true. Let me check.
By the way, before you go, just to really quickly wrap things off on the one you just did, man. I completely which one Maker. Like you said, the thing you concluded just very shortly. I hope everyone can see that Bitcoin is clearly range bound, and the other coin we looked at is also clearly range bound, whereas Maker has more of a, on the higher time frame, a trending bias. So that's what I mean when I say, look for trades that have more of a trending bias, whereas Bitcoin is very compressed, and maybe you don't want to trade the range lows, whereas with Maker you can see it as more of a downward trend. So that's all I wanted to say. Let's go to AR. Cool strategy, by the way. I love it.
Thank you.
This one.
Uh, I see. What's so strange, right? One moment. What do we see on the 1 hour? Ah, okay. We have that P1, P2 flip this morning. You can see that, right? So the high of today is hourly 3, the low of today is hourly 1.
Yeah.
So it's the other way around. That is.
Oh, the statistic is still valid though.
What's concerning me a little bit about this one is because of the structure right here. Put in Asia by the opening, we dropped as all the other assets and coins. And if you look to this structure right here, we have taken out in this internal right here, and then we come back lower, and now we are ranging. So I don't know for sure this one.
Yeah, it looks very compressed right now.
Yeah, it's compressed.
Very
So
compressed. And this is a very good example. Like if you see this, like this kind of compression, so I mean look at these last candles, right? I know it's a 5 minute, but very
yeah,
compressed. And that's generally not what you want to see.
no, you can avoid this one.
Yeah, agreed. But it's cool. I mean, it's really cool strategy. What you can do as well. I mean, for example, it's very easy to see, right? So what you just did with the day since P1, where it says 43 days since the P1 P2 flip, that's a really good strategy, right? So if you have those two days since P1 and days since P2, I think the second one, the one two you were looking at, if you have both of those as a high value, that's pretty interesting. So if you have, for example, Sui, no clue, the third row. What you can also do
Yeah,
is simply press. If you press on Sui and
yeah.
just click the row, then it will show up on the top, and then you can immediately see. I mean, you have to just remove the filters for a bit. First, you have to click the top table.
Okay.
Click on the title of the overview of distance-based statistics for current day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then just remove them so you can see it. Just press the how do you say it? The thumb on the right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a Dutch word. The
That's the top.
razor, the razor.
This,
Yeah, just press it on the top right. Press it. Yeah, for both.
okay.
You're just clearing it out
Yeah, okay.
because then you can see it, right? So now you immediately see, okay, so this one also performed the flip because it's bullish, right? So then you don't have what you just saw. This
Yeah,
this one's also bullish.
yeah, but I like Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin because of this,
Yeah,
also this this filter,
I
right?
mean, 477 is massive, humongous.
Yeah, so I like Bitcoin, right? And now you can see we push up. So what I was thinking already. So let's wait a little bit in the next hour what is going to happen, right? So what I'm still aiming for is a little bit this, right? Then
Yeah,
and short, then take out that low.
yeah,
Because, and that is also what I've told already into the VIP section of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a lot of more room to go to the P1 to the daily open, and many alts already were there, so they had that P1 P2 flip, but Bitcoin didn't, and I don't believe Bitcoin will flip this one, and I think Bitcoin will do this, right?
yeah. Gotcha. And then a lot of odds will follow.
Yeah, exactly. So I think longing alts, it's the same as yesterday happened, right? On Rune, for example, because Bitcoin is still leading the market. So if Bitcoin made a 2% drop, alts will follow up by 8 or 10%.
Yeah,
That's the whole at this moment.
yeah. And
So
yeah, and I agree. There's a good chance it will.
yeah, so what my focus for today is probably Bitcoin ETH. You can see also now ETH is going up to that range high again on the 5 minute, on the 15 minutes. I think it's also on the 15. Yes, it's also on the 15. So it's a good sign. So I have my eyes on Bitcoin, ETH, and Maker. That one is probably the best to look for.
Just checking what other time frames are saying. All right, so ETH and Maker, yeah, because I see, for example, on the 1 hour that there's quite some bulls, so that indicates as well that for the current hour, the next 15 minutes that is into New York Open, we'll probably see some more upside,
Yeah.
which is what you see manifesting now. Because I'm looking at the multi-time frame page now and see some bullish signals there. Funny thing is that you do see quite some 8 hour bearishness. It's actually quite some man. Because some coins are performing quite well today amidst the chaos. Aave looks like it did pretty well. Compound looks like it did it pretty well. Core, Curve, IMAX.
I like also Pepper a little bit. So
Yeah, we got meme coins now. We should look at a meme coin.
yeah, Pepper is also
Man, that run up was insane. What a candle.
yeah, yeah, what a candle, right? Let me check on the high time frame. There is still we have a daily range right here as a big daily range. We have that
Yeah,
low. The 5 August, we have a pullback. Then we touch the equilibrium right there, and we creating a daily range high that is also tapped into a balanced price range on a lower time frame, and we rejected from there. That is also the previous week high of last week.
yeah,
So what I think what will happen is that we will this will be working as a magnet. So price will take out this 12 liquidity. You can see here slightly a daily fair value gap, also a zone. So probably we'll go low with Pepe. Let me check on the. This is the daily range, right? This daily range. Let me check what happened here on the 4 hourly. Okay, we took out this one and we reverse a little bit from there. But again, this is also, yeah,
yeah.
it's also with
I
you already,
I would
right?
not look for shorts on that one. Like if I look at the
Oh,
day, if I look at that daily time frame, that's immediately a no go for me. Then I'd rather wait. Like I agree that that low that you mapped out would probably get hit at some point, but then I do
hmm.
think it's better to wait for that to get hit, and because that will show intention, and to go from there. Like that
Yeah,
that daily time frame, if you look at the daily time frame and you just see all these candles so compressed together, like
yeah,
that little move upwards into the BPR that you mapped out, that's just like a deviation of the range, and now you're back in the range, and it's
yeah.
just really compressed. So this is once again something that looks like Bitcoin and hasn't doesn't have the same profile as Maker, for example, which you looked at.
Totally agree.
Oh
Totally
shit! I can draw on your screen. You see this?
cool, man.
Nice.
How is that possible?
Good to know. A new trick.
Okay.
Look at these boomers finding out about technology.
Okay. I think I will leave it on today for Bitcoin. It will be a scalp, I think, but it could work out. Bitcoin, ETH, and Maker. That
Yeah.
one is catching my eye.
And I do think, for example, on a day like today, either the setup you mentioned with like going a little bit higher and then taking a short from there and going lower, and otherwise, I think this would also be a good day to wait for like if you miss that or something doesn't happen, to wait for the last 8 hour candle and the last two 4 hour candles, right? Because they're pretty much the same, which means 4 p.m. UTC, and then see what statistics are saying,
Yeah,
and then
totally agree.
that's usually also a good way, right? Especially when price does nothing during the day. Then, or for example, it would range now and nothing happens during New York. Can hardly imagine who feeling New York's going to be bringing some fireworks. But if it doesn't, then you can always wait for later the open. I mean, you can always wait for later in the day, 4 p.m. candles, and see where if statistics show any direction, and then take it from there. And then you can do it for trade it for the rest of the day, but find the entry on the 4 hour if that makes sense.
Yeah, agree on that. But we have some red folder news on 1 hour.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
okay, then it's definitely going to be
so,
volatile.
yeah, New York will bring some fire, I think.
Yeah, yeah. What news is that today?
Um, let me check.
Oh, oh wow,
Uh,
look,
Joel's job
they
in an
changed
hour.
the FX calendar.
Number of job openings during the period of month, excluding the farming industry.
Oh,
That is
non-farm payrolls. Is that it, or is it something else?
oh, they called it
Jobs?
GOL. Yeah, job
Never,
open.
I never heard of it. Is that a US thing or is it?
Yeah, it's US thing because
Oh,
here we can see the currency, what's is going on. So every red folder news with USD in front of it, it's affecting the price. So
yeah,
probably because that is in an hour, that is 30 minutes after New York opening. And the first 1.5 hour price will only manipulate, I think, and then we get the real move. So at the last hour of the 4 hourly candle for today,
yeah. So
for afternoon.
then what we were talking about becomes even more important. Where on a day like today, with news like that dropping just after New York Open, it might be a good day to wait for 4 p.m. or so and take it from there, or at least after that news.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but
totally.
but then I'm assuming that what you're looking for is for that news to drop, for price to move a little higher after the news drop, and then look for probably a low time frame break structure to the downside, right?
Yep, yeah, that is what I'm looking at.
All right. Yeah, that sounds like a good play.
Right? Sounds good to me also.
All right, man. Tim, I know you have to run. I want to thank you very much. I'm gonna stick around just a little longer,
You're welcome. I
explain a
like
couple
that.
more things, but thank you, man. Really appreciated this. Good session.
Yeah, totally agree.
And we'll do. Let me just check if there's. Yeah, no, we're all good. So yeah, once again, thank you very much, man. Always a pleasure. And we'll do the next one soon.
Yeah, till next week, man. Thank you very much.
All right,
Bye
man. Talk soon.
bye.
Ciao,
Soon, bye
ciao.
bye.
All right, guys. Now it's back to me. We are going to close off soon. I just want to discuss a couple more things. Let's see. So it's definitely good to wait for that news to drop, right? Good to wait for New York Open a little bit after. I do think we're going to see some volatility as well. but I really want to stress, I have this tutorial, you probably already know, I have this tutorial about it, that if you see price stuck in here, stuck anywhere in here, I do not personally want to take or be very cautious with taking trades in here. Like Tim said, he was looking for a short here. Obviously, if you have your system for it, you can do it, but he's probably trading also a little bit on the lower time frames. Personally, I want to be careful. So I really want to emphasize that difference where you see how contracted this is. We saw the same on other assets. Whereas if you go to Maker, you can see how much difference there is, right? You don't have that super contracted zone right there. So it looks a lot better. I was just checking meme USDT, which also looks kind of the same. But on a higher time frame, like just non-statistically, I do think we need to go lower. If I look at this, I mean, this just screams to me that it needs to be taken. The equal lows right here. There is a lot of volume here, which is the only thing that makes me doubt it. But still, usually from a price action perspective, this equal low needs to be taken. Solana has been one of the leaders of the market. So if Solana has to take those lows, it lies in a general expectation that everything else goes as well. I would not necessarily expect Bitcoin to take the lows because you can see that this looks remarkably different than what Bitcoin looks like, right? We don't have that massive equal lows here. Basically, Solana held pretty strong, but you could see something like that when Solana is taking those lows, right? So in general, that's why I'm saying, like in general, I am more bearish than I am bullish. But yeah, once again, if you haven't read the tutorial on that on the ranging environments, then please read it. It's one of the things I think is very important to increase your win rate. If you're in one of these ranges, yes, you can still find continuation trades, right? But usually on the lower time frames, as I explained in this tutorial, where you see, for example, the 4 hour does have more follow through often. You know, here you have this pretty much a 4 hour move there, 4 hour move to the bottom. You know, so that's kind of what you can be looking at. But on the daily itself, you can just see the daily candles have very little time room to move. And yeah, I just personally would be very reserved on that. Let me check. What else? So once again, I'll show you make the show. You know, this one is different because on you see on the daily, it's showing intention, right? Even here in this part, there was still quite some room for movement. It's just less compressed, right? That is a very simple truth of it. It's less compressed. And Bitcoin is just very compressed. Let's see if we can do maybe one more. Or let's just go through an exercise really quickly. I'll show you pretty much the approach I take to it. It's very simple. I scan I'm gonna create statistics for this to just take all the guesswork out of it. I mean, maybe guesswork's not the right word, but this kind of analysis of seeing whether it's in a range or not, I do think it can be methodized in statistics. But if I, for example, go on the daily and I see, let's just go with the top one, Doge. Looks very bearish. I open the chart, right? So if I'm looking for continuation trades on the daily, because this is, you know, I'm looking for lower, looking for continuation trades. I have my Doge right here, 6.7%. Very good, 63, not bad. Not the best, but really not bad. Then I go here, and what do I see? Immediately the same thing, right? You can just see this compression right here. It's the same thing as on Bitcoin. The high time frame does look a little bit more bearish, but here it looks like compression. I don't want to touch that. So that's really as simple. I just look, okay, is it compressing? I go on to the next one, right? So I just really want to make that Atom. See, Atom looks already a lot better. You see what I mean? So Atom looks a lot better to me. In terms of the only thing I don't like is that there's barely any wick there. But it does look a lot better because you see this massive trend. So you see what we just did, right? We just went to Dogecoin and it had really good statistics, but you can clearly see that it's very compressed in this range, similar to Bitcoin, right? So what I'm saying is you don't want it to, what I always say is that in these cases where Bitcoin is ranging, you want to find assets that are not ranging and thus uncorrelated to Bitcoin. you can see that Doge, at least locally here, is pretty correlated with Bitcoin. And we can see Atom is not so much the same, right? You can see there is just more flow, more volatility, more moves in the market. And right now it does look like, it wants to move lower, especially if you look at this. I mean, just this looks absolutely horrendous. Yeah, this chart looks pretty bad. This chart looks really, really bad. Wow. That looks bad. So, this kind of thing is something I would much rather look for shorts on. So then I start becoming interested, right? So you can see that very quickly. And then in this case, yeah, I don't like this pivot at all. I still have to write a tutorial on it, but usually this is not the pivot you want to see. But, as long as you hold this high value node as resistance, that could definitely indicate further downside, right? But at the very least, you know that this has been is a very strongly trending coin, opposed to Bitcoin. No, I'm just looking for something right there. So this was yesterday, massive drop. But here it's the same thing as what we just. It also comes out to what we just discussed. So this one is definitely an interesting one. I do not like the pivot right here, as I often say. I do want to see this kind of pivot. Usually you don't have it. Just this is right now not really a pivot, but it does look good from a statistical point of view. And then what you want to do is right now we're waiting for a little bit more upside on Bitcoin, and then it's probably best to wait. If you expect upside on Bitcoin, usually you get it, right? So then all we have to do is wait for, or not usually you get it, but usually you get it on other assets as well. So then you kind of want to wait for that to play out. But I just want to show you the general thing I do to very quickly spot whether something like that is interesting to me or not. So for example, that was those. Now we can go to Gala. The next one also looks way more interesting. You can see like this was very compressed, but now price is moving. Though we did hit that naked daily point of control. So these are the two things that I'm looking at. Are we ranging? Yes or no? Clearly no. Did we hit any naked daily point of controls? Yes. Okay, so this one I'm going to be careful. XRP. Yeah, also looks better. You can see it's less compressed, right? So here I would potentially look for a short. I'm not doing the big analysis now because I just want to show you the general approach. You can see how fast this can go. Pendle also looks better. Although, nope, we hit that double naked daily point of control, so not interested, right? So very simply put, A, is it ranging? B, did we hit any naked point of control? Maker, we discussed this one, so this one is way nicer in terms of volatility, so way better. XLM, and so on and so on. I think you get the idea, but this is really a couple of seconds work, right? And my goal is to automate this, by the way, to put this in it. But here, XLM, I would also be more interested in this one. Although, yeah, I mean, we did hit the naked point of control, and then we SFP'd it. So, not the best thing. But then again, yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know about this. I don't know what it means because we already tapped the naked point of control and we came back. So that might indicate weakness. That might indicate weakness. That might invalidate that. So XLM is the one I would possibly look at. YGG looks more compressed, so I wouldn't take that one. Right, so this is kind of, and you can also select all of these and find additional, especially with these day since P2, day since P1, right? You can look at, okay, which ones are really shitty. So XRP, besides it looking pretty good in terms of volatility, you also see that the day since P2 is 243. Pendle, same thing, right? So Pendle and XRP, if P1 holds, would be very unlikely. I mean, 0.9%, 0.3%. So if P1 would hold for XRP and Pendle, would be very unlikely that the low will hold, right? So this is definitely something worth looking into. And then I would go on the lower time frames. And then, yeah, this is the only thing I'm worried about. So this pivot is not the best looking pivot. And you see that kind of all around. right? You can see everywhere. What I often say is that you prefer to see a pivot something like this, right? You want to take some form of liquidity. There are always better pivots in my experience. And if you see this, and then the pivot here, yeah, it's not my favorite. So not my favorite. Doesn't mean it cannot hold. But it's not my favorite type of pivot. And an easy way to see that is, for example, if you just crank this one up, then you can see all the previous ones. Here, you can just see that oftentimes you are closer to grabbing it. So this one is really at the end of a down move, right? This one is more or less at the start of a down move, and you grab this liquidity here locally, bam, right? Not only that, you just came from this pivot, so it doesn't have to be exactly the top, but somewhere close to it. So you had that, and then you grab this liquidity, like quick liquidity grab down here. You had this liquidity here, bam, liquidity up here, very close to this pivot right here. So this is liquidity grab. Again, doesn't have to be exactly there, but at least close to it. This P1 right here, liquidity grab. This one right here, clear liquidity grab of this, all of this here. This one, obviously, liquidity grab, right? Because in general, if you just have a pivot like this, that indicates a form of liquidity grab because you're going the opposite direction and you're taking out stops. Here, same thing, liquidity grab. Well, obviously, liquidity grab. I mean, you get the point, right? I mean, if you go back, even if I go here in this massive uptrend, how many do you see that do not at least grab some form of liquidity? So here, right, you just like, bam, drop down at the end of it. Here, even here, some form of liquidity, right? Short pullback here, short pullback. It's very little, but it's still it's more than what we have now. Here, liquidity grab up, right? So that's my point. Why I don't like these kind of pivots that we're seeing right now. It doesn't mean we cannot go down, but I prefer to have some form of liquidity. With that said, the statistics are looking good for downside. So obviously, in this case, I would be tempted to say, well, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some, and I'll take my chances that next time it will be. Even if I lose the next time, I probably won't, right? But I prefer not to see those kind of pivots. Some kind of liquidity grab is always preferred. If I look, for example, at XRP right now, time statistics. Oh, wow. The return of hour zero. Return of hour zero. Been 9 days. Yeah. So on a day like today, I think my approach would simply be to do the same as Tim. Wait for a little bit higher. Oh, Pendle also look good, by the way, that we discussed. You see what I mean? Like the main thing, I don't want to go too much into details, but the main thing I do want to see is this movement on well here, right, where you see just more movement than we see in Bitcoin. So then, these are very interesting plays. But you can see that everywhere right now you kind of have the same thing. So we have that P1, P2 right there, and then in between that P1 and P2, let me just mark this out properly. So this right here is P1. Well, on the lower time frame, we did take some liquidity right there. So that's actually not bad. So this is actually, no, yeah, this is not bad. Not half bad. We took that little, it's very little, but on the lower time frame, we took some liquidity right there, this little two. So, not the best looking pivot, but also not as bad as I thought it would be. So this is not half bad, but right here, you have the same as on Bitcoin, that range right here, right? So then preferably you are shorting at the top of the range. So this is more or less the same situation as Bitcoin, where you kind of want to wait for something like that to happen, and then you can target the lows. And that might be, in this case, waiting for just 4 p.m. To show up, to do its thing. I'll check. Yeah, because if you see this, then generally speaking, you are looking for lower. So I think I'm gonna drop in the chat real quick, see if there's any questions, and if not, drop it off. I do tomorrow. I'm gonna dive way deeper into specifics of the dashboard, into how to use the dashboard, the new features. I'm gonna dive into. I am writing a tutorial on conservative filter mode, which I think is gonna be very important. I really suggest you will read that once I release it, because there is a case to be made to use normal filter mode. I will release it soon. I will let you know when I release it. But today's stream with Tim is obviously also more for to see more the TA side. So that's what Tim just did. I just went over some high level TA that I look for as well, just to give you a clearer impression of that. I do think lower is likely. The statistics are indicating lower is likely too. As Tim said, maybe good to wait for a little bit higher first and then short it from there. Seems to be the play for today. With that said, Sarky, I see. Hey, Sergio, is there any previous data like Excel or something include the Discord pre-made strategy? I would love to buy the product, but I don't know how profitable it can be and what can be the trade frequency on a daily time frame. No, there isn't. I also think maybe you're viewing it. I don't think it's the right way of looking at it. It is not the product, like the whole platform, is not meant as a trading strategy, right? The platform is a provider of aggregated historical data. Yes, I have created this continuation trade strategy on it, but I also want it to be more a guideline for people to understand how to use the data, or to give inspiration how to use the data. But there's like no one foolproof way or no like one way to use it, right? This is a very popular way to use it, but there's nuances to it, and in the end, it is meant to simply provide you with the data, right? So this is all very valuable data. It's meant to provide you with the data. But in the end, you always want to combine it with your system and your statistics. So I find this works best if you have some form of system. You don't need to be a profitable trader, but some form of system already in play where you have maybe your liquidity levels, fair value gaps, order blocks, like whatever you're using, market structure, and then use these statistics in confluence with your existing system. And I find that works the best. Obviously, there's also people creating systems based on this. But in the end, you always want to have a combination of TA and statistics. At least for now, maybe later. At least it's my intention to later do everything purely on statistics. But for now, you do want to use your TA for it. So that means that it's also, it's not as easy as saying, all right, well, here are the results, because it really depends on what are the things you're looking for, what is the system you're applying, what are your entry rules, what are your take profit targets, all these kind of things. The statistics themselves are, accurate because they're simply historical data, but the win rate will also very much depend on the system, the other rules you are applying, right? And it's therefore I do not have any data on that. But like I said, do not view this whole platform as a trading system. View it as a provider of information, an aggregator of information, of live information. It does give you updated statistics, but that's the main purpose of it. And yes, there is a system on it, and yes, we can use it to make trading decisions, informed trading decisions. That's what it's designed to do, but in the main essence, it is a statistics provider, right? And the eventual win rate and things will also very much depend on your entry, exit, and other strategies and rule systems. So therefore, I do not have it. But I wanted to clarify that I would view it as an information provider rather than a trading system, even though we do have a system on it. So I hope that clarifies your question. Other than that, thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to cut off the stream here, and I think the plan is clear. Wait for a little bit higher and then potentially short, but good to wait until that news drop half an hour into New York Open, and we'll take it from there. Possibly even good to wait for 4 p.m. and later on look at the 8 hour, look at the 4 hour, and take trades from there. So thank you all very much if you made it this far for watching. Tomorrow there's another stream tomorrow evening where we're going to dive deeper into the dashboard itself and the workings of it, because I'll be doing it by myself. So once again, thank you very much everyone for watching. Catch you on the next stream.